welcome to our Barbarian Class Ultimate Guide, and we are ready to dive in and give you guys the complete breakdown of the Barbarian for Diablo Immortal. But I have 3 questions for you guys. Do you like to be fast? Do you like brute combat? And do you like to get up close and personal? If you answer yes to those 3 questions, then definitely the Barbarian is definitely a class you want to make sure you can choose or pay close attention to. Today we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about the Barbarian, its strengths, its weaknesses, stats, its attribute points, its skills, every single thing you need to know. You'll find it out here in the channel to make the right choice if the Barbarian is the right class for you. So if all of this sounds interesting, a like would be greatly appreciated, and let's dive in and talk about the Barbarian. One of the most important decisions you're going to need to make in the game is selecting the right class. And you might be looking at this video and are still a little bit undecided on what class to pick. I have a video that I break down every single class that you're definitely going to want to check out. Plus, we have these ultimate guides for each individual character that you might want to pay attention to. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and start with the Barbarian. And what better way to actually start with its strengths? Now, the Barbarian, like I said, are super quick and fast on their feet. Not only that, but they're able to dish a ton of AoE damage. For those of you who don't know what AoE is, aerial effect. So if you want to kill multiple enemies with just one complete ability, then this is definitely an amazing class. Not only will you be able to maneuver around the map very fast and agile, but you will be able to decimate a ton of enemies that come your way. Now, the Barbarian is not just for solo players, guys. It's actually pretty good for group play as well, because the Barbarian is actually able to boost group play. Now, when I say boost group play, it's going to increase the movement speed and overall damage for all party members with the right build, and of course, with the right legendaries equipped. So not only is the Barbarian really good for solo players, but also good for group play. Now, for those of you who probably have played Diablo before, the Barbarian, it's one of those classic classes that a lot of you guys have gone to love. And Diablo Immortal actually follows the same path because it makes the Barbarian a very, very strong class, allowing you to aggro a ton of hordes of enemies to you while your group or your teammates will remain unscattered, because he will be able to draw a ton of hordes of enemies to him with the amazing skills that they have. Now, don't get it twisted, guys. The Barbarian's actually pretty good when it comes to solo play as well. He will definitely be a great choice for you guys because he has a lot of survivability during solo play and a toolbox filled with several crowd control options that will help you mitigate incoming damage when sitting out on your own. So don't worry, guys, whether you want group play or whether you want to play it solo, the Barbarian is definitely going to be one of those classes that a lot of people are going to gravitate to because it does well in both scenarios. One of the cool things about the Barbarian is that he's able to offset the damage he takes and offset it with, of course, recovery that he gets, because the Barbarian's high AoE burst can help your party recover when attacked by a large group of enemies, and these abilities can also serve as finishers if you get the jump on your opponents in PvP. The Barbarian is pretty awesome at being able to do a ton of damage getting up close and personal, but just like any other class, there is some weaknesses that we need to talk about and you need to consider if you decide to go the Barbarian route. So let's go ahead and talk about those. I know what you're thinking, someone so badass cannot have weaknesses, but I gotta tell you guys, yes it does, man. So the Barbarian can take a beating and remain standing without a problem, but you will have to put the time and effort into leveling up and boosting your defense stats to be viable in the endgame. Early game, you're not going to be struggling too much, but once you get into those mid-game or late-game rounds, you're going to notice that the Barbarian does become a bit squishy, and this is where you're going to need to start working on leveling up, boosting your defense, and also getting the right legendaries. Now, the Barbarian's best group buffs require certain legendaries to be equipped, and while they are great boons for your party, they may leave you less than fully optimal during solo play. So you're probably going to have different set of legendary items to look out for, whether you're going to be playing solo or whether you're going to be playing with a group, because you're going to have to decide, do I want to boost my friends or do I want to boost myself? In other words, as a Barbarian, you're expected to make some sacrifices that may lower its damage output compared with some other classes that you might pick. Some of you might enjoy being that tank for your group and being that protector, but if you just want to melt anything that comes your way, bosses, enemies, and deal as much possible damage as you can, there might be better options out there for you guys. Barbarians do not excel when it comes to single target damage, particularly making the class less than optimal when it comes to some boss fights. Now, the Barbarian offers several skills and abilities that can be game changers, but these skills often have a long cooldown, meaning you could find yourself in a very tough situation if you don't learn how to manage your skills wisely. Now, the Barbarian will crush everything in sight while leveling and during early gameplay, but as you progress into the harder end content, you may find yourself that you don't really want to get too up close to the enemy to melee them because you're a bit squishy. So the Barbarian is a melee focused character, and before you get into those high levels, you're probably going to have to find better gear and level up before you actually do the hard end content. Now, one cool thing about the Barbarians is that if you're going to be focusing primarily on a lot of PvP, Barbarians do have a tendency to burst and turn the tides really fast into their favor. But if your opponent can survive and keep a distance away from you, you might find yourself at disadvantage because it might be a little bit harder for you to close that gap to deal any sort of damage. But if you could dismiss all those weaknesses and level up at your pace and also get the right gear needed to actually be able to not only help in solo play but also help in group play, then the Barbarian definitely could hold its own. Alright, so now that you know the strengths, now that you know the weaknesses, let's talk about the stats, attributes, and what you should prioritize. So as you guys may already know, basically in Diablo Immortal, the things you always got to prioritize is offensive rating and defensive rating should be your top attribute priority, and every primary attribute point like strength, fortitude, vitality, willpower, and intelligence provide 1 point of offense rating and defensive rating as well. But for the Barbarian, this is what you're going to want to do. Now, strength for the Barbarian, guys, beyond boosting the offense rating and the defensive rating, it also provides a +4 damage per point. Fortitude is also important because it provides armor and armor penetration. Armor penetration raises your critical hit chance, although there are diminishing returns once you reach the endgame. Now, Vitality provides a +3 life per point, and you will have to build this up alongside with damage increase attributes to survive for the endgame, especially really important when it comes to the Barbarian. Of course, we will have builds for every single character. You guys want to make sure you keep it locked on the channel. Willpower boosts potency and resistance. Potency improves the duration of your harmful effects on enemies, while resistance reduces how long harmful effects last on you. It may be useful in a build that focuses on bleed and other debuffs. Now, intelligence, this is the lowest primary stat for the Barbarian because it provides no additional benefit beyond the 1 point boost to offense rating and defense rating. So do not spend too many points on intelligence. Now, for your special attribute priorities, this is the ones you want to prioritize, especially if you're a Barbarian. Primary attributes are almost always better than special attribute points like the ones we talked earlier due to the boost of offense and defensive rating. But if you're picking between unique attributes, these are the ones you should prioritize. Critical hit chance, critical hit damage, movement speed, cooldown reduction, and everything that boosts the damage increase. PvP players will also want to add damage to players into the mix as well, so do keep that in mind. Alright, so now that you know the attributes, now let's talk about the skills, guys. Now, the Barbarian has multiple skills, but I'm just going to name the best ones I believe to be the ones you should be looking out for when you're thinking of the Barbarian. Now, as you guys may know, in Diablo Immortal, you'll be having a chance to pick a primary attack and 4 additional skills that make you even more powerful. Of course, you'll be unlocking these skills as you level up. But I want to kind of give you guys the best ones I think. So for the Barbarian, guys, the best ones I think as far as skills. For your primary skills, I'm going to suggest Lacerate. This is going to allow you to launch a series of attacks that deals 4k to 5k damage with each hit. Every third hit heals you for 15% of damage done. This is really important because, like we said earlier, the Barbarian tends to be squishy, and being able to get that health back, it definitely makes it like a must-go. Now, as far as skills are concerned, these are the 4 that I want to recommend. We have Undying Rage, which you're going to enter in rage for a total of about 6 seconds. That prevents you from dying and causes all your attacks to heal you 30% of the damage done. Undying Rage will activate automatically when you take fatal damage. Then we have Wrath of the Berserker, which enter a Berserker Rage that increases your attack speed by 50% and movement speed by 20% for another 6 seconds. Then we have Whirlwind. Become Whirlwind of Steel, continually strike all the nearby enemies for 1k damage while moving 70% reduced speed. Using Whirlwind slowly consumes its energy, which recovers while Whirlwind is not in use. And last but not least, guys, we have the Hammer of the Ancients. Call for the Massive Hammer, which will smash enemies in front of you for 4k damage and shakes the earth itself dealing 800 additional damage for over 2 seconds. Those are the ones I would definitely recommend. Of course, once the game gets released, we're going to probably dive in a little bit deeper in the builds to kind of capitalize on these particular skills. So like I said earlier in the video, guys, if you enjoy fast melee combat and being up close to the personal, definitely the Barbarian is definitely a class you want to pay attention to, because the Barbarian is fast and powerful. AoE damage can handle itself well across all different type of game modes. They provide some of the best group buffs in the game, using of course its legendary items, which I will have a video going over exactly which ones are the best for the Barbarian. It becomes an unstoppable force when it comes to PvP. So if you feel like you're going to be playing a lot of PvP, then definitely you might want to consider the Barbarian. When you awaken your gear and you gain Paragons to unlock even further power, the Barbarian does become even more powerful. You can utilize every single skill well, allowing you to experiment and mix and match with different playstyles and not sacrifice power as well. Overall, in general, guys, the Barbarian is very good class, and it's one of the best classes currently in the game. And if you guys enjoy fast-paced combat and like to get up close and personal and like to be that support class, if you do plan on playing with a lot of people, then definitely a Barbarian is definitely one you would look for. If for some reason you didn't like what the Barbarian has to offer, I highly recommend you guys check out my other Ultimate Guide videos for all the characters, like this video that's appearing right now on the screen. We go in depth on every single class so you can make the right decision for yourself on what character to pick. If you want to know what all the characters are, then definitely check out the other videos we have on our playlist, which also break down every individual class. I hope you guys are enjoying our Diablo Immortal content. If you are doing the huge favor, guys, drop a comment, drop a like. But most importantly, subscribe to the channel, turn on all the notifications so you guys won't miss when our videos go live. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys on the next video.